Everything you ever wanted to know about hypnosis, but were too embarrassed or afraid to ask, high school edition. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the G-Spot. I'm Gila Zak, certified hypnotherapist, and this is the place where we talk about all things hypnotic. Now, I was recently invited to go to a high school class and just talk to the students about what hypnosis is. And I love this because it gives me a chance to dispel the myths and misconceptions, but also to educate people about hypnosis can help you. And as it is with high schoolers, I decided to say, you know what, there might be something you want to ask me that might be a little personal or private. So I sent around, and these are the questions that I got. So here we go. Let's get to it. How would you best describe being in the state of hypnosis? Hypnosis is a dreamy state. It's any time we let our mind wander and let our imagination just kind of fill in with information, and we can zone out and go into the nothingness, and we can go into a specific daydream. And many times people are going into worry or anxiety, and that is a state of hypnosis. I have a whole episode on what hypnosis is if you'd like to check that out. But from the high schooler perspective, I would say that, the most common state of hypnosis for a high schooler is self-doubt. Low self-concept, not having confidence and self-esteem, and then wondering what everybody's thinking about me. How deep can you go into someone's head? And have you ever done a past life regression? Do you know the brain process of it? Well, the first part is how deep can we go into someone's head? Well, as deep as the client will let us go. Depth is just absorption, and a hypnotist cannot get into your mind and make you divulge personal or private information. But as far as how deep can we go into someone's head, we can go pretty deep. We can go into all sorts of places and spaces that you might not have known to have existed without hypnosis. And what does this look like? Well, people will say to me at the end of the session, wow, I never even thought that could have been the issue. So yeah, we can go pretty deep. Now for the second part of this question, have I ever done a past life regression? Yeah. I've done a lot of it. And as for the brain process of it, there really isn't a process any different than regular hypnosis. Now, I am not one of those hypnotists that will tell you whether past life is real or not real, because the truth is, we just don't fucking know, do we? No one's ever come back to give us a definitive answer. And I like to think that in an infinite universe, there are infinite possibilities. So when someone does come for a past life regression, I tell them, it could either be an ancestral memory, a genetic memory. It could be, yes, a real life past memory of your own. Or it could be that we're tapping into the collective consciousness and we're kind of just tuning into a program that helps us to see an experience that we might need to have to help resolve a problem. Outside of it, it could also be a completely made up thing that the subconscious mind is bringing forward, again, to help problem solve or take an inner conflict and resolve it. So essentially, it's just going into a hypnotic state and exploring, like any other way that we would use hypnosis. Is the idea of hypnotizing a person to gaslight or trick your mind? Well, yes and no. First of all, gaslighting is telling somebody that they're full of shit, that what they believe isn't real. The lights aren't on, it's all in your head. That's gaslighting. But as far as trick goes, I tell people, if your mind has tricked you into believing something negative or limiting, then hypnosis will trick you into believing the opposite. Because you weren't born feeling that way, were you? You had to learn it somewhere. So yeah, we put people into hypnosis, into a nice, relaxed, dreamy, trancy state, and we de-hypnotize you so that we can re-hypnotize you into something much better. What mental illnesses can hypnosis help with? And what are the positive after effects does hypnosis bring? Well, first and foremost, hypnosis does not treat, diagnose, or cure anything. We work as complementary, alternative methods to help people achieve a specific objective, whether it's vocational or avocational, all under the context of self-improvement. So that being said, we can work with people who have, let's just say, OCD, or someone who has depression, or someone who's been diagnosed with a specific mental health condition. But we don't cure it. We just help to build a confidence and self-esteem that can often come from having those experiences or those diagnoses. And we can also give them resources to use in real time that just make things more manageable for them. And as for the positive after effects of hypnosis, well, there are lots of them. Generally, it's a greater sense of well-being, positivity, hope, and optimism, but also it just gives us a sense of self-awareness. We get to learn about who we are and ways that we can learn to become who we really want to be. Sometimes we also get these very unintended positive benefits from hypnosis that we never even imagined. An example of this would be someone would come to me and say, Gila, I'm having trouble sleeping, I'm having some insomnia, some stress at work, and I'm having trouble coping with life in general. And the unintended positive side side effect is that their relationships improve, or maybe they find themselves more adventurous and doing things that they never thought they would have done just because whatever was keeping them from sleeping has resolved, and now other areas of their life improve too. What are some methods in order to be better able to be hypnotized? Is there a way to eliminate your inner monologue? Yes, and yes. So when we talk about an inner monologue, this is the unconscious mind running and ruminating a particular worry, insecurity, fear, or concern that translates up to the conscious mind, where we're holding those 7 plus or minus 2 things that we can only hold consciously at any given moment, and we're running through them quickly. So some people call this rumination or perseveration, but that internal monologue is either working for you or against you. It's either positive or negative. And hypnosis can help us go in and see what's causing the negative monologue and how do we make it positive. If those thoughts are not predominantly positive or negative, it's just an internal monologue that just keeps running, the hypnosis can help train the brain and the mind to slow down so that those thoughts don't come so quickly, so close together. Now, when it comes to the methods to being hypnotized, it's really just specific to the person themselves. One of the things that many hypnotists underestimate is knowing who's in front of them, who they are hypnotizing. So when you want to be hypnotized, find yourself a hypnotist who really understands human behavior, what hypnotic's personality or suggestibility is, and we're going to go deeper into that in a future episode. But in an overview, specific methods are simply just guiding you into a relaxed state with your eyes opened or closed and eliciting a space where we can activate your imagination to go into the problem state and then build a bridge over into the solution process. Now, the methods to being able to go into trance are unlimited, because the truth is we're all living in some level of trance anyway, whether we are more in the active alpha state or the deeper, more absorbed theta state. So methods to going in are eye fascination, your eyes moving back and forth or up and down, scrolling on your phone, anyone? In the old days, the hypnotist would use the pocket watch, right? But today we get eye fascinations all the time just with being on devices. Another way of going into trance is by like an eye lock, locking our eyes onto a specific thing. And we can then move our eyes upward, and as we hold them upward and the eye muscles get tired, the desire to close the eyelids gets stronger, and as soon as we close the eyelids down, we start to elicit the brain waves that put us into the trance-like state. Now, in truth, there are innumerable ways to go into hypnosis, because anything can be what we call an induction, an invitation to go into the dreamy state of hypnosis. What level of schooling do you need to become a hypnotherapist? Is it the same amount as being a therapist? Well, a hypnotherapist and a talk therapist are very different. A talk therapist is, number one, they're going to need a degree, right? They have to be licensed, and they're going to help you understand the where and the how and the why you are behaving this way. They're going to give you the insights and the understanding and some resources and tools to help you deal with whatever the problem of life would be. The hypnotherapist is there to let you see at the unconscious level what's driving that motivation, what's driving that behavior. And the hypnotist, because we don't treat, diagnose, or cure anything, we can often take whatever the talk therapist has brought to the awareness of the client, bring it into hypnotherapy, and there we get to literally put it into action. So the difference being that a hypnotherapist does not need a certification. The caveat with this is that you can call yourself a hypnotherapist just by reading a book, right? Because that's just the way it is. But if you are looking for a therapist, you want to get one who's certified. If they are certified, you want to see where they've been certified, because any and everyone seems to be offering training courses anymore. You want somebody whose course is either certified by a governing board or is part of a nationally accredited program of vocational training. The last thing I'll say about the difference between a talk therapist and a hypnotherapist is that psychotherapy is much more cognitive based, and hypnotherapy is much more unconscious based. And in hypnosis, we elicit a different state of consciousness through relaxation, through brainwave changes that are purposely designed to create change at the unconscious level, not the cognitive level. Now, you'll see the outcome that cognitive changes will happen, but that's really the difference of how they operate separate. What's the extent of hypnosis's power? The truth is that with great power comes great responsibility, right? We've heard this because a client is in a very vulnerable state when they're with a hypnotist. They're generally lying in a chair with their eyes closed. And the power of hypnosis really truly exists and lives in the mind of the person being hypnotized, because that person can choose to go into a more absorbed hypnotic, suggestible state, or they can choose to stay at a more present and alert, awake state. Either way, change can happen. But the power of hypnosis lies within the client and then secondarily with the therapist themselves. The power of hypnosis, when processed through a qualified practitioner, is there to really put the power back into the hands of the client who feels powerless in some way. So when you think of it in this context, it's endless. Can you speak unconsciously when hypnotized? Yes. All language, body language, even the things that we speak and say, this is all coming from the unconscious. About 98% of what we do, how we express ourselves, how we live, comes from the unconscious mind. The part of us that is our belief system, our associations, our habits and expectations, our motivations. And so when we're in hypnosis, even though we might be very, very relaxed, and when we do speak, it kind of feels like you're mumbling or talking in your sleep, we can speak unconsciously, but we still know what we're saying. We still know consciously what we're doing because we never lose consciousness during hypnosis. We might go into a deep altered, dip in, dip out state, but you're never truly unconscious. Since hypnotism is about change, can you hypnotize yourself into loving someone? Like if you want to like someone, but you just don't feel the attraction yet. Now this is an interesting one because when we think about what hypnosis is and what it isn't, it is a place for us to consider possibilities and outcomes. It is a place for us to go in and see what the unconscious motivation would be. So if you are not loving someone, if you are not attracted to them, the hypnosis would help you to look at why. Why is it that I'm not attracted to them? Now maybe they're just not my flavor, just not my taste, just not my whatever. But if that person doesn't have a chemistry or a quality or a personality that you can love, then your hypnosis isn't going to help you fall in love with them. Now there's different types of love, right? There's love between parents and children, siblings, friends, and then romantic partners. So when it comes to hypnotizing yourself into loving someone, it just depends on what type of love and what's the motivation for it. And can it even happen based on personality and chemistry? Now, if you want to like someone and you don't feel attraction yet, here's what I would say: just give it time. Give your mind time and the relationship time to unfold, because one of the number one things that people say that makes someone else attractive to us is the way that that person makes us feel about us. So I would say just give it some more time. Who knows? The attraction will either build or not, and you will know. Do the black and white spiral videos or similar videos help with hypnosis, or are they fraudulent? Well, the truth is anything that captures our attention, our eye focus, we talked earlier about eye fascination, those spirals are legit. They do work. They do put us into an entranced state. And then when it comes to other videos, anything that is causing your eyes to move around, that captivates your attention, and then if it's layered with words or guided meditation or suggestion, that's going to take us into the hypnotic state. They're real and they do work. Now, I will say that they work easier and faster on some people more than others, and that is just because everyone has a different hypnotic personality the same way they have a different everyday personality. Is there any way that hypnosis could be non-voluntary? The answer is sometimes. So when we think of involuntary hypnosis, we have to understand what hypnosis is first. And that is the acceptance of a suggestion. So if someone were to come up to you and to try to hypnotize you and say, I'm a street hypnotist, or I'm learning hypnosis, let me hypnotize you, I'm going to hypnotize you now. If you did not want to go into that state, if you don't want to grant consent, you're not going to go into trance. If you find it interesting and curious, yeah, you're going to say yes to that, right? Now, involuntary forms of hypnosis are things like social media, television, going down the wormhole on videos or this or that in the rabbit hole of discovery, whether it's good or bad, positive or negative. We can start out thinking that we are in control of what we're consuming and how long we're going to stay there, but then we get hooked. And that's the involuntary hypnosis that can keep you scrolling on your phone for far longer than you probably should be. Can it happen in sports if someone is very focused? Yeah, it's called the flow state. Anything that captures your attention and focus, and you're just in that place where all your senses activate and acclimate to what you're trying to do, this is trance. It's when the outside world just sort of falls away and you're just in it to win it. And we can use hypnosis to help athletes cultivate their abilities and formulate strategies to be even more successful in whatever the game might be. And finally, If you found this interesting and maybe you want to become a hypnotist, how do you study hypnotherapy in college? Are there set programs that you can participate in, majors or degrees? And will people take it seriously as a profession or a major? So this goes a little bit back to what's the difference between talk therapy and hypnotherapy. And no, you can't get a degree, but you can get a diploma from an accredited vocational college or a certification board that offers a very comprehensive training. If you are thinking of it, then make sure that you go with one that is going to be recognized, because you're going to want to market yourself to doctors and medical professionals, as I do, and they're going to be looking for your credentials. So while it doesn't require a degree, you do want to get a good quality education, just like you would anywhere, right? Now, when it comes to will people take it seriously as a profession, I would say that they'll take it as seriously as you are a professional. And that's really the simplest answer. If you get a good education, if you can cultivate skill, if you have a natural ability for it, and you put in the work and effort, people are going to take you seriously. I have plenty of psychiatrists and talk therapists, medical doctors, all sorts of people in the medical and wellness field who refer to me regularly because I take what I do seriously. So that's about it. This has been really great fun to get into the minds of high schoolers, hasn't it? So if you would like to know more about what we can use hypnosis for, put your comments down below. If you're a high schooler or a young person, put your questions down there. I want to know what you want to know about hypnosis. And until next time on the G-Spot, keep it hypnotic.